Get your dirty boots off my floor before I have you arrested. That is what the salesman screamed. He looked at the man in front of him. He saw the stained denim overalls. He saw the cracked hands. He saw the mud on the boots. He thought he saw a nobody. He thought he saw a peasant. He mocked the wrong man. The salesman, a man named Brad with a suit that cost more than most people's cars, pointed at the door. He laughed. He told his co-workers to watch him take out the trash. But he didn't know who was standing there. He didn't know that the filthy farmer had a check in his pocket for $500,000. And he certainly didn't know that 30 minutes later, that same farmer would hold Brad's entire career and the dealership's future in the palm of his hand. Brad thought he was a predator. He was about to find out he was just a prey. This is a story of Arthur Vance, a man who spent 40 years building an empire with his bare hands, a man who values respect above all else. And today, we are going to watch what happens when arrogance meets authority. Brad wanted to make a scene. Karma was about to make an example. Arthur walked in quietly. He had just come from the site. His excavating company had a deadline, and he had been in the mud since 4 a.m. He needed 20 new trucks for his fleet. He needed them today. He walked over to the heavy-duty Platinum Edition. The sticker price was $95,000. Brad spotted him from across the room. Brad was the top seller. He was young, loud, and hungry, but not for work. For easy money. He saw Arthur and he didn't see a customer. He saw a stain. Brad marched over. He didn't say hello. He didn't ask if he could help. "Hey!" Brad shouted. "Don't touch the merchandise." Arthur paused. He looked at his hand. It was clean, just calloused. He looked at Brad. "I'm looking to buy," Arthur said. His voice was deep, calm, the voice of a man who gave orders. He didn't take them. Brad laughed. A loud, fake laugh that echoed in the showroom. "Buy? You? Look at you, old man. You look like you couldn't afford a bus ticket, let alone a Platinum. This area is for serious clients. The used lot with the beaters is 3 miles down the road." Arthur didn't move. He stood his ground. "I want to speak to the manager." Brad stepped closer. He invaded Arthur's personal space. This was an intimidation tactic. It usually worked on the weak. "The manager doesn't talk to vagrants," Brad sneered. "And neither do I. You have 10 seconds to turn around and walk out that door, or I'm calling security to drag you out." Arthur narrowed his eyes. He didn't blink. "Call them," Arthur said. Brad hesitated. He expected the old man to run. Men like Brad don't know what to do when someone stands tall. "You think I'm joking?" Brad asked. "I'm doing you a favor. Pops, you're embarrassing yourself. You smell like manure." "It's honest doubt," Arthur said. "Something you wouldn't know about. If you believe that a man's worth is found in his character and his hard work, not in his designer suit, subscribe and hit that like button right now. It helps us share these stories with people who need to hear them." Arthur turned back to the truck. "Does this model have the upgraded towing package? The reinforced axle?" Arthur knew more about trucks than Brad ever would. Arthur had been a mechanic in the Corps before he built his business. He knew machines. Brad slammed his hand on the hood of the truck. "I said get out!" Brad screamed. "You are trespassing on private property." "I'm done playing," Brad hissed. "I'm calling the police. I'm going to tell them a deranged transient is threatening my customers. You'll spend the night in a cell. How's that for a test drive?" Arthur closed his phone. He put it back in his pocket. He crossed his arms. "You're failing," Arthur said simply. "Excuse me?" Brad asked. "You're failing the test," Arthur said. "A man is measured by how he treats those who can do nothing for him. You treat people like dirt because you think you're above them. But dirt is the only thing that's real." "Spare me the lecture," Brad spat. "Get out. Now." "I'm waiting," Arthur said. "Waiting for what?" "For the owner." "Waiting for the owner." Brad laughed. "Mr. Henderson is in a board meeting. He doesn't have time for—" "Brad!" The scream came from a balcony. It was Mr. Henderson, the general manager. But he wasn't looking at Brad. He was looking at the man in the dirty overalls. Mr. Henderson's face was white, pale as a sheet. He nearly tripped coming down the stairs. Brad looked confused. Boss, don't worry. I'm handling this. This bum was harassing the clients. I've got the police on the way. Mr. Henderson reached the floor. He didn't look at Brad. He ran straight to Arthur. He extended his hand, but then pulled it back, afraid to offend him. Colonel Vance, Henderson stammered. Sir, I didn't know you were coming in today. Brad dropped his phone. Colonel, Brad whispered. Arthur didn't look at Henderson. He kept his eyes on Brad. I came to buy the new fleet. Gary, Arthur said to the manager, my boys need 20 new heavy-duty for the excavation contract at the airport. I had the check ready. 20. Brad choked. His knees went weak. The commission on 20 platinum trucks, that was over $50,000 in his pocket alone. A $500,000 sale. But Arthur continued, his voice hard as steel. Your gatekeeper here tells me I'm trespassing. Trespassing? Henderson turned to Brad. His eyes were wide with panic. You idiot! Do you know who this is? Brad shook his head, unable to speak. This isn't just a customer, Henderson screamed. This is Arthur Vance. He owns Vance Construction. And more importantly, Brad, he owns the land this building sits on. We leased this lot from him. Henderson yelled, and our contract renewal is on his desk right now. The silence in the dealership was deafening. Every customer, every salesman, was watching. Arthur took a step toward Brad. Brad took a step back. Sir, Brad stammered. I didn't know. If I had known it was you, obviously, I would have... You would have what? Arthur cut him off. Kiss my boots? Because I have money? Because I have a title. Arthur shook his head. That's the problem. Son, you only respect power. You don't respect men. Arthur turned to Henderson. Gary, I'm not buying the fleet here. I'm going to the dealership across town. They treat their customers right. Please, Colonel, Henderson begged. That's a massive loss for us. We can fix this. I'll fire him. Right now. Brad, pack your things. No, Arthur said. He held up a hand. Let him keep his job. He needs to learn. Arthur looked at Brad one last time. You keep your job, but every time you look at this empty spot on the floor, you remember the day you cost this company $500,000 because you judged a book by its cover. Arthur pulled a folded paper from his back pocket. It was the lease renewal. And as for this... Arthur ripped the paper in half. The sound tore through the room. You have 30 days to vacate my property. I think I'll turn this lot into a community park. Somewhere people can sit. Somewhere peaceful. Somewhere free of arrogance. Arthur turned and walked out. He didn't look back. Minutes later, Brad was sitting on the floor, head in his hands. Destroyed. Karma doesn't care about your suit. It doesn't care about your sales numbers. It cares about how you treat your fellow man. Brad learned that lesson the hard way. He lost the sale. He lost the lease. And he lost his dignity. Click on the video title below for the full story. Subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories.